tuned in to the one and only show, bringing you entertainment stories shaken, stirred, with a little sass and a twist of lime. It's Northwest Nightcap with K-Cee Deeva, y'all. Don't miss it.
K-Cee Deeva, y'all. I love the way he says that. Shout out to my boy Chalante for that intro, and shout out to baby bro AC Soul for the music. As always, what up, peeps? It's been a minute since we've been with y'all live, okay? Because I mean, people have been traveling and doing their thing, and we did a couple of best of shows, which is also always awesome, but never as fun as when we're back in person, coming to you live. So welcome to another edition of Northwest Nightcap. Yes. I'm K-Cee Deeva. I've got my lovely, wonderful peeps with me. We got a jam-packed show for you tonight too. We got some stuff going on. We got some breakups happening with Princess Robin and From the Heart and her segments. K-Cee is always dropping some music industry wisdom on us, and Anthony, of course, sharing some interesting podcasts that he's found, and yeah, we got a lot going on. So let's go ahead and dive on in. First and foremost, let me introduce my beautiful team, my cast, my friends. In the middle, first and foremost, the royal, the beautiful Princess Robin. Hello, Princess.
Cheers.
Yes, creepy neighbors. I see everybody got eggnog but me, okay?
I got spiced eggnog too.
I didn't get the memo.
We'll wait.
I'll drink one on your behalf.
All right. And second, next to her, sitting next to her, not second, but sitting next to her, of course, is the very handsome Mr. K-Cee Clayton, musical director for Confunction. If you don't know what Confunction is, this is where you millennials out there who might be living under a rock, go look them up. Legendary. You might learn a little something, okay? Anyway, beautiful couple in the middle, and to the far right, well, my right, your left, the very handsome Mr. Anthony Adams joining me. How's it going?
Hey, good to see all y'all again. I'm doing good. Hope you are all doing well, and happy holidays to y'all. I missed y'all. You know,
yes,
missed you.
Yes,
missed you as well.
yes. Woo.
Okay, all right, let's dive on in because we got lots to talk about. So for those who know me and know me well, you know that I am a Jackson fan. Okay, Michael first and foremost, but also the Jackson as a family. You know, they're my extended family as far as I'm concerned. I think every black person probably think that. But you know, the Jacksons, I mean, they're the family, right? The royal Jackson family. Well, Janet Jackson has been in the news lately. There was a documentary that came out last month. I think it was the 19th of November, if I remember correctly. And it was about the infamous Nipplegate, as they call it, the wardrobe malfunction that happened during Super Bowl. And she and Justin Timberlake, again, if you've been under a rock and haven't heard the story, they were doing a live performance, you know, the Super Bowl halftime, and at the end of the song, you know, what was supposed to happen, as it's told, is Justin rips open her jacket, and it was supposed to show kind of a lacy bustier, right? Unfortunately for Janet, it showed a lot more than that, hence the name Nipplegate. Okay, so this documentary happened because for those who remember back then, Janet really got the heat for this. You know, Justin kind of just skated under the radar. You know, his career took off and went on and so on, because he was just kind of getting to his height there. He wasn't quite, you know, there. He was getting there. And Janet, you know, her career kind of came to a halt. And all of a sudden she was getting all this heat for it and whatever. So anyway, this documentary came out. I learned some stuff behind the scenes that I didn't know, you know, back then. All I remember is being upset that it felt like all the focus was only on Janet and why Justin wasn't getting the same kind of treatment and drug in the press, you know, that she was. Did you all get a chance to watch it?
Totally. Yeah.
All right. So So, okay, but I'm gonna go with your first impressions first, then we'll get into kind of the details of what happened. So, Princess, as you're watching it, what were some of the things that really stood out for you as you're watching this documentary about what happened?
To not dominate all of the comments, because I'm sure there's a lot of impressions that we'll all want to share. But what I was struck by was really just kind of, having a different appreciation for how impactful that scenario was on her career. I mean, although, we were all around for that, I think it was watching that documentary where I really kind of realized, like, yeah, that was really a pivotal point for, the success of her next releases and just how she didn't get promoted. Her record didn't get promoted. I don't think I was processing all of that at that time.
Right.
But it struck me when I watched the documentary, and that set kind of funky with me.
Yeah, me too. And that's kind of what struck me too, was I didn't realize the impact it had on her career either. I guess I just, like I said, I was upset because it was obvious that she was getting a lot more heat than Justin, but I really wasn't paying attention to, like, yeah, we kind of didn't hear much from her during that time, and and how it impacted her professionally. K-Cee, what were your thoughts? Initial thoughts?
Kind of the same, but at the same time, I thought, first of all, the documentary was very, very well produced and well put out from beginning to end. And at the same time, one thing that I really, really admired was the class that she, and the high road that she took the entire time. Although people kept trying to bring her down, she stayed, herself. And she stayed true to herself, and she stayed classy throughout it. And it also, and I'm glad the documentary came out because it did highlight how our culture is, and I mean, the American culture, period, and how people of color are treated differently. And this is a prime example of, first and foremost, the song that they were singing was his song.
Yeah, it was his song.
And that's one thing that people, forget. They're singing his song. His song says, I'm gonna get you naked by the end of this song.
Yes.
And it's not Janet's song. So Janet at that point technically was out there as a guest of him. Right? So and even then, how they forgave him, because like I said, they were throwing her under the bus, but meanwhile they were praising him.
Right.
Even then, after the and years later, he comes back and does another Super Bowl and sings the same song.
I actually remember turning off the TV because I was so annoyed by it. I was just like, this is not right. Like, he gets to come back and singing the same damn song, and she's still living in the shadow of it.
It took me off back. It really took me off back then, because I remember I was actually on the Grammy board. I was the Memphis chapter president.
Oh, okay.
And Jermaine Dupri, who was her boyfriend at the time, he was the Atlanta chapter president of the Grammys, right? And after that all happened, she was actually supposed to be presenting an award, I believe, to Luther Vandross for the Grammys.
Yeah, she's for that tribute. Yeah,
she was supposed to be a part of the tribute, and they asked her to step down. And what made it worse for me was the person that they asked her to step down was Jimmy Jam.
Jimmy Jam asked her to step down?
Yeah, because Jimmy at the time was on the TV committee of the Grammys.
Wow.
So that added insult to injury, especially for her, because she's like, of all people, seemed like one of the people that helped create my entire career,
right,
is taking their side and not defending me. And I remember right after that, Jermaine Dupri, he basically denounced his presidency. He said, I don't want to be anything, I don't have anything to do with the Grammy, things like that. So, but at the same time, she stayed classy throughout. So it was kind of a tough time for everybody.
Yeah.
That's what's so awesome about hearing from you, K-Cee, because you have this intricate knowledge and experience that I'm like, wow, that's interesting to know. That's a tidbit I didn't know. Now, during the documentary, they mentioned. Now, was this the same incident? Because there was an incident where, and it was another award show, maybe it was the Grammys. I can't remember now. Where they want was the Grammys because they wanted her to apologize.
This is just more of the back.
The backstory.
Okay.
That was what they were talking.
Yeah,
about.
because keep in mind, the Grammys are always normally the Grammys always follows the week after the Super Bowl.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. That's right.
And both situations are run by CBS.
Okay. Yeah, and they wanted her to apologize again. Yeah. And she was like, "Nah, I've apologized twice at this point."
It's like, meanwhile, not only did he apologize several times, but they gave him a spot on the show to even perform.
Right. And basically because if I remember correctly, even when the producers, who I felt bad for as a former producer myself, a lot of people lost their jobs. They were like, people lost jobs over this. All those people that were the producers and directors and the behind the scenes folks that, things are only in your control so much, I felt bad for them. But, what struck me was they were like, well, we went looking for Janet. She fled the scene, basically. She was gone, couldn't find her. Justin came and you saw in the documentary, he was kind of nonchalant about it. Oh, yeah, whatever. And so it's like, okay, because he came initially and basically PR'd his way out of it, then he got a pass, So anyway, that whole thing bothered me. Anthony, what were your initial thoughts?
Well, my initial thoughts were first and foremost to brother K-Cee's point. You basically just confirmed what the documentary tried to say didn't happen, that she was asked to step down, where they said in the documentary, well, she didn't want to apologize, but we never said she wasn't invited to the show. And it's like we all knew that behind the scenes. They said she wasn't going to be welcome. One thing that also I noticed too, it relates to people of color, they dogged pretty much all the black performers that were there that Super Bowl, because it wasn't just Janet, it was Puff Daddy, it was Nelly, and then Kid Rock was there. And I remember that one of the guys that was one of the talking heads, he was like, all the gangster rap that was performed. I'm like, those guys really didn't even perform for all that long. I remember that Super Bowl. They were there for like 1 second, and then it went back to Janet.
And Kid Rock and Kid Rock was degrading the flag.
They did.
Yes. They talked about that, but still, back then they didn't really talk about it.
Exactly. So, it really bothered me. One thing that also I didn't like, the documentary was put together really well. One thing I wish I would have touched on was how Janet, a year and a half later, would actually parody herself on SNL about this whole incident. But then also the one thing that really warmed my heart, I remember that Super Bowl when Justin came back, and I remember the rumor was he might bring Janet back. But then once it was confirmed she was not coming, everybody said, okay, Super Bowl Sunday is going to be Janet Jackson Appreciation Day. So during the halftime show, I participated in this. I turned off the halftime show and I streamed all of Janet's music that I could for those 28 minutes that I could, because it was like, let's appreciate her, because it's not fair that he gets to come back and perform the exact same song and she's been blacklisted. And, and then of course at the end we see him, now he's re-apologizing for it again. And it's just like, bro, you're over a decade late. You're over a decade late, dude. So
I mean, part of me thinks too. I mean, how old was Justin then? I mean, he was young and early in his career. How was like 20s or something?
Yeah, like I'd say about 20, 25, 26. Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole thing was a hot mess, right? Because I'm sure his people, because they all have people, are telling him what to do and what he should do, And so part of me wonders, like, was he doing what he was told to do by his handlers, or if he, I don't know.
It's accommodation.
Yeah.
I want to say circle back to say one more thing though.
Yeah.
And first, let me preface this by saying I felt like all of it felt like an overreaction to me, especially when you look at, like I don't even know what the time span was between that and, when we started to see, people just walking around, Lil' Kim with her little pasty, like this is her outfit. It's not like a malfunction. This was her intended, like things are just so what they are. I can't even believe so much was made of that. But
yeah,
I will go on record saying this. She, like, yes, it was his song, but she did say, and she said that she, that the wardrobe plan, though it wasn't supposed to be that revealing, that was the plan that they made outside of what they had already agreed to do. So there's some risk taking there. I don't want to absolve people. I'm one who will always step up and be like, I'm not trying to absolve people of the responsibility they had there. That being said, I don't think she deserved what she got from all of that, but I also don't think,
I just think it's just
and she didn't mean for it to go.
It's just the overall hypocrisy of CBS and NFL at the time.
Exactly.
Especially when you're talking about, this was children are watching this. But you keep forgetting, for years and years, the NFL was always highlighting the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
Tread lightly, brother K-Cee. That's
I'm just keeping it real. When they were talking about, because because it got to a point where all the cheerleading squads for all the teams had to be, basically, images of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
Right.
Tight shorts and,
outfits are like this big, Yeah.
Them ain't cheerleaders.
Yeah.
They professional dancers. Now, we know the difference between cheerleaders and dancers. Let's keep it real.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, CBS, and they keep talking about, what the image of TV and all that. They've always been selling sets. Always been selling sets. But years later, the bigger hypocrisy is they didn't have a problem years later, showcasing Shakira and J-Lo.
Exactly. Who were just shaking and shaking. I mean, you know what I mean? So it's like, they also aren't black.
That's a whole nother debate. What else you got on tap, Diva? What else you got on tap?
They also aren't black. Okay, we'll wrap up because we can talk about that all day.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm gonna be biased and say it wasn't Janet's fault. But anyway.
Of course.
But I
don't think it was her fault, but I don't think she was.
It was equally responsible.
I think she,
I think here's what I think.
About what the issue was with her outfit, and she said like, "Oh, we went in, made other plans. We went deeper into the rabbit hole."
Well,
and
because
she said that. So, but you saw
the little jewelry thing, right? It was like a little sun thing. It goes around the neck. So, I'm not gonna lie. As I'm watching the documentary, I had to rewind it to kind of really, because I kept kind of, wait, okay, let me hear this again. Because in my mind, what I see happening is, okay, they're like, okay, at the end of this song, boom, and then there was supposed to be like a pasty and whatever. But then it did cross my mind. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, but the type of jewelry it was. You know what I'm saying?
At the time, choice. It's like
exactly. It did make me go.
Things happen.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Well, here's why I say no. I didn't think that was planned, because if you knew anything about Janet was kind of like out there with like her style and she was open about her piercings and stuff. So I'm like, it didn't surprise me that's what she had on, because I'm like, if you know Janet, okay, that's something that you expect her to have, like as a piercing. But now I'm like, okay,
that was beside the point for me. But the point was, she was like, yeah, we planned a rip away. Didn't mean for it to rip away that much. But what I did learn in the documentary that I didn't know before that was that they had been asked to not have that outfit in the first place, and she said they went after that rehearsal.
Kind of a secret meeting.
All
you just do. You make choices.
It still takes two to tango, because at the end of the day, she didn't take it off.
Nobody's debating that. Nobody's debating that.
But that was part of the problem. Although nobody's debating that, that was the thing. They were both equally guilty, but she was the one that they crucified over that.
Exactly. Yeah.
They started calling it the Janet Jackson incident, not the Janet Jackson Justin Timberlake incident.
Right.
That's the thing. Even in the legislation started calling it the Janet Jackson, rule.
Which, to Princess's point, where she said in the very beginning, it's that bias, okay, we're gonna crucify the Black woman in this, and the little white boy gets to go off and his career flourishes, and nobody really talks about it anymore. Yet she's stuck, being talked about in legislation and all this kind of crap, So again, had that been, say, nowadays, it'd be interesting to see, like, if it just happened, how things, how people respond. But all right, we talked about that enough. Let's get into some more juiciness with Princess Robin and her From the Heart segment. What you got for us, Princess?
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, because it's sad news.
Oh,
Tiffany Haddish and Common, no more.
No.
And I think it wasn't last time we went live that we were talking about the whole. She said,
apartment. I want the apartment.
So sadly, though, they have decided to end their relationship, and they say that it was because that they're very busy, and they were never really in the same city often, and their careers just keep them from being together very much, and so they decided to part ways. But it sounded like it was amicable, so hopefully, and we wish them both the best. But as this relates to From the Heart, it did bring me to thinking about the whole notion of commuter couples and long distance relationships and investment in personal, intimate relationships when you have that kind of a lifestyle. And we've done talks about this on Traveler's Guide several times. And, I don't know, it's definitely not for the faint at heart, the whole long distance love, people, obviously you get in a relationship because you want to be with the person that you care about. But it broke my heart to see something that seemed, like they're strike me as two very solid individuals. I had high hopes for that couple, and I would like to see a little employment of some of those principles of making long distance love work, and finding ways to be commuter couples and make it work. Like we had this past season, we had a couple on our show who's been married for been commuting for 16 years.
Wow.
So it's something that you can work at it, you can make it happen. But sadly, it did not for Tiffany and Common. So that's it.
That makes me wonder if there's more to the story, though. I mean, because I get long distance is not for everybody, and it's tough, and especially in their business, and they're being pulled all these different directions and traveling a lot, and so on. But then again, I look at there's a lot of celebrity couples, right, who are probably just as busy and in different cities, and they're even way more famous than them, and they make it work. So I just wonder, like, if there was more to that than obviously than they wanted to share. But that is sad news.
Yeah.
I think Common is basically the hip hop George Clooney. Look at his track list. He only dates women for like 2 years, and then says, "All right, time for you to go ahead and go on with your life, girl." He's suave, smooth, and everything. He's like, I'm telling you, I gotta think. I feel like he's like hip hop's George Clooney. Okay,
yeah,
good looking dude and everything, and not married. Come on now.
Several, he's been linked to him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He got a track list. Oh yeah. Very good. Very
because she shaved all her hair off.
No.
I don't think so. She looked classy
Yeah, I like
Tiffany is
it
rocking that.
Yeah, I like it.
That's a whole nother conversation. I'm on the fence. You know, some people rock it. So I don't understand it. I mean, I get the whole freedom from, you know, I am not my hair. I get that whole movement, but that's a girl's talk for us, Princess. Another show. Okay. Yeah, we got to talk about that. Yes, we're going to talk about that another show. All right. Let's talk about, well, speaking of sad news, Astro World. My God, what a disaster. Something else pivotal that happened, last month. Man, so much to talk about with that. So Astro World, that was in Texas, I believe. Big concert, happens every year, lots of acts. Travis Scott was doing his thing, and 8 people died, including a little boy who was in the hospital for a couple of days with some serious injuries, and he was 9. He passed away. Just a really sad story. Really sad story. A lot of conflict, surrounding it. Of course, lawsuits are coming out now. There's been some back and forth on social media as to, he at some point in the if you saw some of the clips, at one point in the concert, he says, hey, somebody's hurt over here. Let's get them some help. Later found out that was somebody that actually was dead. People were getting trampled. They were passing out because it was just, if you saw the footage, I mean, there's just way too many people. I have so many thoughts about this. First and foremost, why would you allow that many people in there, to the point where some of the witnesses were like, once you got in there, you could not move. Like one guy said he couldn't even as so much as turn to the right or left. Like his shoulders were literally stuck in the, whatever position you're in, you were stuck. There were kids there, and so now, Travis is facing a lot of backlash from it, of course. People on social media that said he should have stopped the show himself. I heard some people coming to his defense saying it's really not up to the artist to stop the show. It's the producer, the production. And K-Cee, maybe you can speak some to this. My question is who is responsible in that initial setting? Because as I'm looking at what's online, I'm seeing him saying, okay, go help this person. In my mind, I'm thinking, why don't you just stop the damn show? Clearly, if someone is laying there motionless and there's, something going on, you've got to call in paramedics or whatever. You need to stop the show completely at that point. But he didn't do that. He continued to perform. More people got hurt. Now there's lawsuits. Recently, he said, hey, I'm going to pay for the folks that lost their loved ones. I'm going to pay for the funerals. A few of those families rejected it. They said, nope, we don't want you to pay for the funerals. It's just a hot mess. So, K-Cee, I want to start with you and just kind of get your perspective. Who is responsible for stopping something like that?
Well, first of all, the first person that's responsible for everything is promoter. Because at the end of the day, the promoter, they're the ones that regulate how many people are going to attend. They're the ones that regulate how many tickets are sold and the price of the tickets and stuff like that. So when it comes to capacity, that's totally on the promoter trying to make his money.
Okay.
So that's why they have insurance and things like that. Now, as far as Travis is concerned, a lot of times when you're performing and you're on stage and you're in a setting like that, you really don't know what's all going on because you're in work mode. You may just glance over and just see that there's something going on. But at the same time, a lot of times, just like even for us, we've been in situations where, we've seen people fighting, or jockeying, just like sometimes you can be at a show and we see stuff on stage that other people don't see in the audience. Right? So sometimes, like there's a time we saw these people, obviously they were like in the wrong seats and they weren't trying to move. And the people, that seats were like, no, y'all gonna move. Meanwhile, we're steady performing.
Right.
Now, it's our job, as performers, because if we stop performing, it's going to draw more attention to what's going on there. right?
Mm-hmm.
So as performers, you just keep doing what you're doing to make sure that hopefully security can come in, de-escalate that as soon as possible, and keep, the rest of the audience, attracted to the stage, for the stage. So that's why even for him, because when you're on stage, you don't know all the dynamics because you got music, you got you got lights in your face. You can't really see everything that's going on. So he probably just glanced over and said, okay, I think somebody's, hurt over here. He doesn't know if they're dead. He didn't take a pulse. He's just there.
Right.
He's just performing. So he doesn't know. But at the same time, by him acknowledging while he's performing, hey, somebody take care of that over there, and he keeps on doing his thing. So that way, it can get de-escalated as quickly as possible because nobody knew at that time how serious everything was. Sometimes people can just pass out because it's just hot.
It's hot, yeah.
Or it's just crowded, or somebody could have just had, had too much to drink and fainted or whatever. Anything can happen, but when you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
But the initial responsibility to all of this falls on the promoters. We knew how many people, and even then, keep in mind, this is in Texas. This is in Houston, Texas, which is the right?
Yeah.
This is one of the most deregulated states in the country.
Yeah.
They don't care about masks. They don't care about COVID. They're going to try to get as much as they can when they can. So their thing is, if we can fill every seat and pull out some folding chairs and put some more people here, we going to do it.
That's terrible. Hold on, a couple comments. AC Soul, her bald head was okay. Yeah, that's Tiffany Haddish. People get hurt or killed in mosh pits most often, so they are going to go after him because he's a rapper. Yeah, because he's a rapper, definitely. I think there is a lot of that. Because I don't know about the number of people that died. I mean, you see a lot of these rock concerts and other concerts where people are falling out and there's just smushed in just as they're all sweaty and smushed in just as much. He's getting a lot of heat from it. And in fact, Hulu was going to do a documentary, Astroworld Concert from Hell, and they pulled it. What?
No, it's out. I watched it last night.
So this was, what's today? Today's the 2nd, right? So this came out the 2nd, according to Variety. It says they pulled it. So maybe they just pulled it today.
They might have just pulled it.
They might,
So you watched it last night, Anthony?
Yeah, I watched it last night.
Interesting. Yeah, they said Wednesday they released it, blah, 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 recapping the events. Okay, so you probably saw it and they just pulled it.
Wow.
They said, it was supposed to be like an investigative kind of a local what happened type of thing. But excuse me, social media blew up and people were like, people died and people still in the hospital from it and so on, and the families, and so they decided to pull it. So I don't know. Anthony, what were your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on?
Well, it hit kind of close to home for me because that next day I was going to a hip hop concert myself, and I texted my friend who I was going with, and I texted him the link to the show about what happened at Astroworld, and I said, we're treading very carefully tonight, and he responded back. He said, no problem, bro. We're going to be fine. He's like, yeah. So he's like, wherever you're comfortable at in the venue. And we stayed by the back, by the bar area. And, the thing about here's the thing that I've learned about seeing veteran performers versus newcomers. You have to worry about people acting crazy at a veteran show with someone who's a veteran when it comes to performing, because they're quick to call that out. The whole situation of why they're blaming Travis, I understand, because Travis has a history of kind of inciting these things at his concerts. There was a tweet he sent out, I think, a few years ago in pertaining to Astroworld, where he said, if you can't get in, it's cool, just storm the gate. And then I think about a year and a half ago, he was in Chicago and he encouraged everybody. He said, screw security, everybody jump the barricade. And he got charged in Chicago for essentially inciting a riot. So even though he may have not known exactly what was going on in the show, they're going to, of course, put the blame on him. Because like, hey, wait a minute. You have a history of doing stuff like this, of inciting this stuff. And from what I understand, people were in the crowd were chanting, "Stop the show, stop the show." In that documentary, you see a girl approach the cameraman and say, "You got to stop the show. People are dying." And the guy's like, "You got to talk to paramedics or whatever." So
Yeah,
it was a wave of emotion for me because, especially the 9-year-old, when you hear the story, it was a father who loved Travis Scott, and he learned his 9-year-old loved Travis Scott as well through the game Fortnite. He's like, "Oh, gotta take him to this because this is going to be something we're gonna bond over." And you learn he bought his son the Travis Scott shoes and everything, and then to learn that his son is now gone, it hit a wave of emotion for me, both as a music lover and as a parent.
but as a parent, and all three of you are parents. My thought, as horrible as I felt for that dad, my thought was, for something like that where there's no structure, there's no assigned seat, there's what I mean, it's just this mosh pit of people. Was it the best thing to take a child to? Granted, in his worst nightmare, he never dreamed anything like that would happen.
Exactly.
But I growing up and going to concerts in my 20s and stuff, and it's like, I used to be that person. I always made my way to the front. I always getting serenaded and have my hand held and all this. I was that person in my 20s. Now, give me a damn assigned seat. Give me the balcony. I'm old. I ain't trying to be down there pushing and shoving, and I'm end up punching somebody in the face. But it's very, very sad, very sad. But I mean, it's gonna go on for a while. I guess we'll just keep posting on what's going on. Princess, do you have any thoughts on it?
I don't think I have anything to add. My heart goes out to the people who suffered.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing that I just don't want to continue to happen is people associate any type of concert tragedies or things like that with hip hop and only hip hop. Because trust me, it's been happening at rock concerts for years.
Yes, exactly.
And fires.
Yes.
Fire, health code and fire code violations and all kind. Where the fire extinguishers don't work. The fire, you can't get out of the fire. The fire exits and all that kind of stuff. But it's just the fact that anytime it is a artist of color, exact same like with Janet Jackson or whatever, they're gonna try to perpetuate a stereotype. This is why we don't need to have them doing this.
Right.
Right. At the same time, it can happen 5 or 6. Like case in point, the whole Las Vegas shooting situation. That was out of country. So are you gonna stop all country concerts?
Right.
They ain't said nothing else about that. There was a lone gunman and da. And we're there for the family and keep it moving. Right?
Yeah.
Them down.
Nope. You're absolutely right.
Y'all got to sure if you get a chance to watch Woodstock '99 documentary on HBO. That's all I'm saying. If you want to talk about concert madness,
Woodstock '99. Oh, right, yeah.
Watch that. There's a documentary, great documentary about it on HBO. Go check it out.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching for that because that's going to be real interesting to see how it goes for hip hop artists moving forward. Okay, since we're talking music, let's go to K-Cee's Corner. What kind of knowledge you going to drop on us today, K-Cee? What are we talking about?
Just really quick, I had the opportunity to finish my finals today in my class at the University of Memphis.
Okay.
Intro to music industry, and I was telling Robin earlier, this is the first time ever that I had to grade differently. Because normally what I do is, I divide them up in groups, and as a group they have to collectively write, produce, and market a song to me and my team of experts. And I say, well, if we sign you, just like you're, signing to a record label, if we sign you, you pass. If we don't sign you, you fail. Right? And there's been some really, really great, projects. There's been some not so great projects. There's been some projects that was just totally, I had to flunk the team.
Wow.
Right? This is the first time in the history that I've been there that all three situations were really, really good and so good, but at the same time, they were so diverse.
Okay.
And you coming in tonight, it just goes back to what I try to tell people even now more so, with independent music, be yourself. Just be yourself, because no matter what you're doing, eventually there's going to be an audience for you. You don't have to try to be Megan Thee Stallion. You don't have to try to be Silk Sonic. You don't have to try to be Taylor Swift. Be you. What makes them is the individuality that they bring to the table. So you have to just find your lane and find your individuality, and basically, and your creative audience will find you. Because trust me, everybody, there's something out here for everyone. And and each and every day we find a new lane that somebody's opening up. So the main thing I try to tell anyone, especially even now, just do you. Don't try to be anybody else. Yes, just listen to all the different, genres and different influences. But at the same time, take those situations and find your twist on it. Don't sing every lick that Shaka Khan sings. Do you. Don't try to be Jill Scott. We got a Jill Scott.
Right.
Be Jill Scotty. Or whatever. But the main thing is, and it made me so proud because each one of them came totally left field, and it was all good, and it's all diverse, and it just made me just, see that the future of music is alive and kicking, but at the same time, we still have to support it, because a lot of times we as listeners, we will get comfortable with the same old stuff. If it ain't this, I don't like it.
Yep.
Guilty. You got to come in with an open mind. You got to come in with an open mind. So kudos to all the new and seasoned artists that are pushing the envelope to try to create new situations, to try to create new lanes, and give us something different than what we've already heard.
Do you, speaking of seasoned artists, is it mainly just like new up and coming artists that you teach, or do you ever get some seasoned artists that are like, hey, the business has changed, I need to brush up my skills a little bit?
Well, now when I produce records, I have a lot of new and seasoned artists. Larry Dotson, who's the former lead singer of the Broadcast, he's doing a solo project.
Oh, okay.
But even for him, his thing is he's having to try to recreate himself, because it's like, okay, people know me for being the singer of the Broadcast. Now I got to try to get them to know me as me, and find a new voice for me. And he's got several records out right now, and I would encourage anyone to just go out and check him out. He's got a new one called We, that's featuring actually it's featuring one of my former students, Jessica Ray. So it's Larry D featuring Jessica Ray, and it's on YouTube. It's called We. So check it out.
Just We?
Very cool.
Yeah, just We. It's called Just We.
Just We.
Just We. And actually, to go back, Robin and I, we was on the Tom Joyner cruise recently, and we saw one of my all-time favorites, and I call him Uncle Lenny Williams, who was on there. And everyone knows Lenny from everybody knows it from that show, and his show was so entertaining and fresh.
Okay.
And he has this song that we cannot forget. He has this song called "I'm Sorry I Didn't Know It Was Your Mom."
Yes.
And he had
I love it.
And trust me, and this is a new song that nobody knew, but he had the entire crowd singing.
Is this song on streaming services?
Now that's a performer.
Because you were sitting there on your seat like, what is he about to say?
Because it was a story that was unfolding, and then it was like, I'm sorry,
I
didn't
didn't
know it was your mama. Everyone's like,
I love that.
but by the time he finished the second verse, and it got to the court, the entire crowd was singing. He's like, I'm sorry. He put the mic like, I didn't know it was your mama. So shout out to Lenny Williams and Larry.
That is awesome.
It goes to show you once again, Lenny's been in the business for over 50 years. But at the same time, yes, you know him for this, but he still takes his craft seriously, and he is a true entertainer. He was true. I mean, he was entertaining.
Right on. Real quick, Tom Joyner Cruise on my bucket list for sure. Who was your favorite act? And we know you like Lenny Williams, but anybody was your favorite that you guys saw?
Besides Confunction.
Confunction, of course.
Confunction. That night was amazing. Diva, do you remember when we were supposed to go see the Daz Band? And
yes,
finally got to see Daz Band.
Oh, I love them.
We played with them, and then and the Barcades Reloaded. They were incredible, but I got to give my props to Mr. LL Cool J.
Woo, LL.
Yeah. LL stand for
Princess, did he lick his lips?
But I was licking mine. Just kidding.
Now, I'm gonna say for me, the one artist that I have a lot more respect for now than I ever did in my entire life, Alicia Keys.
She was
Alicia. Okay.
Alicia came out. It was just a 3-piece. It was her, upright bass player, and a drummer.
Oh wow! Okay.
And she killed it.
She's amazing. I always feel like she never really got her props for her talent and just musically as far as instruments and just her singing voice. I always felt like she's famous obviously, but some of these people that we put like up here that just because they dress a certain way and they're talking about this and that, you know what I'm saying? It's like I've always admired her.
I have to say, I think he's so blown away because he wasn't expecting to like her because he is not a fan of Alicia Keys.
Oh, really? I love her. Yeah.
And her show was great. It was
really good.
Okay. Right on, Alicia.
And I was starstruck by Force MDs. And I can't believe it. I can't get over it because I was like, I didn't even know I liked him like that. But I kept seeing him around the ship and I'd be like, oh, I wish I could get an autograph or a picture. I can't. We were on the bus with them, everything. They sounded really good. And I was
my jam.
It was a nostalgic show, but there were so many performances. I can't even it was good.
Wait, was Rotimi on there? You know what Rotimi is?
Unless he was on there kicking it, but he wasn't. He did not.
Oh, okay. That's my little young crush. Anyway. All right. Anthony, let's go ahead and jump into some podcasts. What you got for us?
Yes. Let me get my quiet storm voice on here.
Uh-oh.
I want to talk to all the ladies.
Lean in.
Ladies that are fans of true crime and sexy men that dance. I have a podcast I'd like to recommend for you. It is called Only Your Fantasy. It is the true crime podcast story about the Chippendales. Hold on, let me double check. I'm gonna get that name for you, Princess. One moment. I'm taking your requested dedication. All right. It's called Welcome to Your Fantasy.
Oh my goodness!
Yes, give that one a listen.
Do I need to get some sexy music while you talk about it?
Oh, right. Let's give it some music.
I mean, yes. Welcome to Your Fantasy. Please check that out.
Hold on.
Now.
Oh, hey!
Yes. Ladies. This podcast is something that's going to intrigue you. Some of you are going to learn about the Chippendale dances as well as the true crime and the scandal that went on behind the scenes, and the ruthlessness and the backstabbing and all the sexiness that came on with it. Welcome to Your Fantasy, available when you get podcasts right now. I wish I was the host of it, but I'm not.
You damn sure should be, Anthony.
Right. Yes.
Anthony.
K-Cee with the theme music. Yes. Richard Glass. Anthony with the very white voice.
I wish you could see
I see you.
the way he was playing.
I couldn't leave my brother out there hanging.
That's what's up. That was awesome.
I have never been so entertained.
I was like, where'd he go? Did you hear the piano?
And Anthony
Yes,
was
yes.
Anthony was swaying.
You gonna get your fantasy.
Yes. Welcome to Your
Oh, my
Fantasy.
cheeks hurt.
Yes, welcome to Your Fantasy. It's the true crime story behind the whole truth.
Right.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
God.
That's definitely what I would recommend for everybody to check out right now. 18 or over, of course. But yeah, that's one of the podcasts that I listened to recently, and it's really good. I learned so much. I didn't know about like the history of what went on behind the scenes with those guys, because I'm like, I know Chippendales, okay, they're the male dancers and everything. I didn't know that there was like, without giving too much away, somebody got killed behind the scenes. I didn't realize that. So
I just recently watched a documentary about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go listen to the podcast too.
Yes, please do.
Because it was all kinds of stuff in there.
I got it. Is there a Thunder Down Under documentary out?
No, but I did hear that Channing Tatum is doing Magic Mike 3.
Oh no.
He'll be all right.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, Anthony, any more?
Yes, I learned that there's actually an MJ podcast, MJ Daily podcast, Michael Jackson podcast.
Oh.
I just learned about this one today, so I will be subscribing to that. And I think it's in time for the celebration of Dangerous 30, because this year marks the 30th anniversary of the Dangerous album.
Are you
one of my favorite Michael Jackson albums.
Oh yeah,
it does not seem like 30 years.
Yeah,
That's
so dangerous.
Shout out to Teddy Riley.
Oh, yep. That's one of my favorite. I remember actually going with my aunt and her at the time boyfriend to the store to buy the cassette tape for him.
Oh yeah,
but yeah. It's the Michael Jackson podcast they have out. I'm trying to look up for it right now, but there's that as well. And then there's one more I'm listening to right now called. I'm laughing because I'm just remembering of the 90s. Remember those 900 numbers that would come on, those commercials that would come on like late, like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, those 900 numbers? Yeah. There's a podcast called Operator as well that's also a true crime podcast. It takes you behind the scenes on the shadiness of that business and the true crime that happened but behind there as well. So, yeah, that's
no, Anthony, I wasn't up looking at 900 numbers on late night TV.
How was I? My cousin was.
I didn't call none of them, but the commercial was very interesting. But
there was
Anthony,
a kid.
Time, I wrote them down so I don't have to text you. I'm looking for my podcast list.
That's when they used to have the podcast. They used to have the phone number 1-900. Ooh,
right.
That's what
There was change his number.
There was a kid there. There was kid in my neighborhood growing up that called that. Let's just say he couldn't sit for a week and a half when his mom got the bill. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. No, but it was a kid in my neighborhood. It wasn't me. Was not me.
That's what Shaggy and what's his face said, Anthony. Wasn't me. All right, we're almost out of time. I want to make sure we get in all the plugs before we go. Princess Robin, hostess of Traveler's Guide to Venus and Mars. Where can they find you?
We are still, I believe, on 8 different podcasts platforms, namely Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, most of them. And again, it's Traveler's Guide to Venus and Mars with Princess Robin. It's your relationship roadmap, and lots of great topics to listen to.
I love that relationship roadmap because Lord knows we need one. K-Cee, so school finals. So you get a little break now?
I'm officially on break from the U of M, but still working. The middle of December the 17th through the 19th, Confunction will be in Oakland, California, at Yoshi's.
Oh, okay.
The Yoshi's Club, 2 shows a night. If you're in the area, come out, check it out. And
with the play.
Yeah, just finished scoring a Christmas play here called.
Oh, fun.
So I did all the music for that, and it's running now until December the 22nd here in Memphis.
Memphis, okay.
If you're in the area, go at Playhouse on the Square. Thursday through Sunday. It's called And to All a Good Night. And the director is a good friend of ours, Laurinette Williams. Shout out to her. And it's very, very, very good.
Right on.
I'm proud of myself, and I was happy to be a part of it. So.
Right on. Always with the creative. And Anthony, you want to talk about our podcast?
Yes, me and the lovely Miss K-Cee Deeva, we host a podcast every Monday on Instagram Live right now, where we are recapping all of the 90 Day Fiance. We just wrapped up 90 Day Fiance the other way. We're also talking about the family Chantel and all the madness that goes on there. And we're also going to start recapping the Real World Homecoming LA season, which is on Paramount Plus. So if you have not checked it out yet, yes, it's really good. Tammy Roman herself, the original basketball wife, is back on this show as well. A lot of wounds are trying to be healed and everything, and I'm learning new things because I don't remember when this season came out. But it's a great show to check out, so definitely check that out. And then also, I did this last year. I've updated it again. The R&B Christmas playlist that I curated on Apple Music has been updated and it is officially out right now. So make sure you check out for that on Apple Music as well.
All right, peeps. Well, it's been fun, and we will be doing this next month, same time, same place. Be sure to check out Traveler's Guide with Princess Robin. You got 8 different choices of where to hear it. So there's really no damn excuse. You got 8 choices, okay? Right. So you can find the show somewhere, okay? And I just love doing this show. I love my peeps. We have so much fun. We talk about so much. And it's just, going into a new year. I'm grateful for you all. Thanksgiving, we didn't see each other, but I'm so grateful and thankful to have you all as not just my colleagues on the show, but also my friends. So, yes. So until next time, I guess we'll see y'all. We'll see y'all later.
We'll be back.